Does everybody kind of have an idea?
Yes.
Yes? All right, okay, I'd like to go around the room and for you guys to tell me which agent you think your book should be sent to, and or not, and why. So let's start on this side.
Okay. Our book was Harold and Gracie, which is a sort of a prequel to Hansel and Gretel, so it's a fairy tale, but it's got sort of a darker twist. So we were leaning towards Agent 4, but we were also considering Agent 1, but it's not as much of a children's book as most of those are.
Good, that's a great comparison. Robin McKinley definitely writes darker, fairy tale-like creatures. Pegasus is about a Pegasus. But Agent 1 would be a great choice as well. She does publish some more serious, older young adult fiction. Looking for Alaska was about a suicide. So, yeah, those are great choices.
James, you're talking.
Okay, we decided on Agent 4 since ours is a dystopian sort of sci-fi thing. And we said it was comparable to the Hunger Games, but for like adults, and hipsters.
Excellent. Okay, your group.
Well, it wasn't like a great fit for any of them really. We thought maybe Agent 2 was more of a serious adult target audience.
Our goal agent was the guy who was the agent for that book, A Million Little Pieces. Because we want it to be under the category of nonfiction, even though it's not. It's not somebody who's not going to talk about.
Excellent.
So
I like
Oprah
this specific.
and your agent, that's what you're saying.
No, I think she was just like the promoter of it. But we could be on Oprah.
We wouldn't be mad.
I like the specifics that you guys use. That's excellent. Okay, yeah, so I hope this kind of taught you a little bit about how to read agents by their lists. Obviously, this was kind of an easier exercise because I chose things that kind of fit together. What you don't know is that this agent also publishes young adult. They also do comic books. This agent also does serious fiction as well as like quirky fiction. This author does cookbooks. This author mostly sticks with young adult and children's books, but has other interests as well. But it's always best to find out where your book fits the best. So I would like you all now to sit at your desk. This isn't a group exercise anymore, but I would like you all to take maybe 5 minutes to write your, think about your book at the, that you thought about at the beginning of the session, whether it's one that you're already writing or one that you hope to write in the future or the one that you talked about right now. I'd love you to sit down and write your example query. So things to remember are, remember the components, remember your information goes last, think about how long you want it to be, and think about adding voice into your query, and make sure that it's descriptive enough. All right, you probably aren't finished yet, but it's been 5 minutes. And I was wondering if anybody wanted to share maybe their first paragraph. To the division of all others. I'm just kidding, we'll all really like you. Anybody? Katie wants
Okay,
to
I'll
go.
Okay, so I know my dream agent, so I addressed it to her.
Perfect.
Dear Ms. Weed, and that is her name, Weed. Elizabeth Gable is a single mother raising her son Lucas to be anything but his father, a man he's never met and she's never mentioned. But as Lucas starts getting into fights in the 8th grade, she loses faith in herself. She finds herself at a loss. She turns to his teacher and mentor for help and accidentally falls in love. With Lucas floundering and Todd clamoring to get to know her, Elizabeth must face the choices she made years ago to discover the mother and woman she really is. Far from the Apple Tree is a 92,000-word upmarket women's fiction novel. I'm writing to you because you represent many of my favorite books in this genre. I'm a fiction major at Northwestern University, and my work has appeared previously in Line Zero Literary Magazine. And then
that sounds perfect. It's great.
Mia wants to share now.
Okay, I sort of had written some of this before our last time, so it sounds, so it's pretty good. This is myself. Dear Agent, 17-year-old Xavier has more on her plate than your typical teenager. Since 2025, the year of her birth and the rise of the religious right, culture wars have plagued the former United States. Now, the topic of sexuality has become so contentious in American society that every citizen must be neutered at the age of 18 with a number of advanced surgeries. Baby making occurs in highly controlled factories who've adopted the use of test tube processing. But there still exist those who rebel. Physiologically intact rogues, ironically known as unnaturals, roam the countryside and scavenge for survival. And ever since her Aunt Tess helped her escape before the date of her mandatory operations, Xavier has become one of the rogues. When approached by a group of rogues for the rebellion, will Xavier have the strength to stand up to an oppressive dictatorship where individual freedoms are censored to the max and romantic relationships are an emblem of the past? Rogue is a 75,000 YA dystopian novel. Thank you for your consideration.
Nice. Excellent. I would warn you against using questions like that, typically, just in general. And that also goes for the ones that start out, have you ever wondered what it's like to be a three-headed alien transported back to the year 2000 back to the year like 1900? Because the answer will always be no in there. All right. If nobody else wants to share, I think that was awesome. And if you ever want me to look over your queries or give you give you any feedback, please let me know. Katie's also worked as a literary agent assistant. Mia's working as a literary agent assistant right now, so I'm sure we'd all love to give you some feedback.